Hello everybody. I'll wait till some people pop in. For those that don't know me and I haven't been here before, but I am. I talk all things true crime. I have been obviously following this case significantly with, as I'm sure that many of you all have been. I'm just going to quickly share this. So if I pause for a second, I'll be as quick as possible. There's going to be three things that I'm going to be talking about today. One is this, one is Anne Widdecombe, and the other is the Level Up murder. So just let me quickly share this. That one, and that one. Hi Hattie, hi the rest there. I hope you are well. I'll let a couple more people join in. Hi Tara, hi Sharon. If I haven't said hi to you, I do apologise. It wasn't meant to be. Thank you, Esther. And the heartbeats are so good. So I'll get a couple of minutes. I'll let people join. Hi Void. I hope you're well. Hi there, Jenna. Hi Tara. I hope everybody's well, and I hope it's not been too hot for everybody today. I have been absolutely suffering to all buggery in this heat. Thank you so much for the heart me. And again, Tara, thank you. Hi, Danny. Thank you for sharing out. Of course, it's very much appreciated. I hope you're well, Danny. So I'm just going to briefly, very, very briefly talk on, thank you so much for the heart me, Hattie. I'm just going to briefly talk on this. Thank you so much for the heartbeat, Danny. Now, as we are fully aware, the judge did allow the Gary Siders Jr. to have a gag order placed on this. And Christina Siders has also requested one as well. The state is actually fighting the approved gag order that Gary has on them, as they feel they should be allowed to discuss this. Now, obviously, I can understand to a degree they want a fair trial. And at this precise moment, they are getting a trial in the public, because it is ultimately what it's like. It's like a court of public opinion, to be the better words to use of this. Now, some people had questioned about the gag order, what this means for the likes of you and I to be discussing this, and also in the media as well. Now, this gag order is primarily based on, that's quite an interesting way to say that, Mickey. But a gag order is for the prosecution and the defence attorney and anybody that's within the court, and also these four, to not discuss this publicly. Now, in essence, having a gag order on one can restrict discussions being talked about for all four, because they are all very much linked. But this doesn't stop the likes of the media posting things, or you and I talking about this on a generalised basis. We don't have any links to the case, so of course we could talk about it. And I'm sure it still means that, thank you for the follow, Mickey. I'm sure it also means that people within the family, if they are not seen as being a witness to the crime, then they would also be allowed to talk about this too. Now, it has been known that Elizabeth Siders is desperate to hear some information about her children, and she wants to know if they're safe and well. There's a wee treasure box up there. You don't have to put the heart me here. Yeah, I know who you are, Michael. But of course, it's Michael, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, feel free to utilise them all you wish. There's some for everybody. It's not just for the super fans. Good evening, Faithless. I hope you're well. Yeah, the stickers. They were actually so much fun to share. I don't know why they're saying discuss it. I don't know why the AI, somebody is suddenly saying discuss it in the gag order in the Gabby Petito case, because that's certainly not what it is. I'm talking about the Siders case. So AI, get it right. Oh, the stickers have to be, I have to make some fun stickers for everybody to be using, because I know that they're obviously fun to be used in general. So excuse me, obviously we know I've shared a video, I shared a second video that is alleged to be from the home. We're not going to hear, thank you so much for the follow, Julie. We're not going to hear a lot about this case unless something big comes from it, I suppose. Thank you so much for the heart me, Claire. We're not going to get a lot of information. It's just ultimately going to be the information that is out. We know that there was 16 children. The child that she allegedly had at 13, that was a lie. That was her brother making up some stories. Thank you so much for the roses, Esther. Thank you so much for the heartbeat. It's very much appreciated. So that was a lie. She never had... Thank you so much for the heartbeat, Julie. She never had a child until she was 15, and that was within 2 months of the marriage to Gary. She's the mother of all. She definitely... there's definitely birth certificates for them, from a lot of them. She had the same midwife as well. Which brings me to big alarm bells that go off for me. Is why was this not looked at sooner? The fact that there was so many. Thank you so much for the follow, Mrs. S. Why there wasn't the... alerts going on around that. However, it has been known that there was a truancy issue in a previous home they were in. So when they lived in the previous home, thank you for the follow, Sarah. It appears that they left that in quite bad condition as well. Gary Senior and Christina both stayed in the house, in the Vinton County House. Thank you for the follow, Gillian. Home that they were all found in. And yes, a gag order has, and I did explain that earlier, so this doesn't stop the general public from talking about this. It is, at this precise moment, only been approved for Gary Siders Jr. But it's not, but that doesn't mean that everybody can't still talk about this. The only restrictions that this is for Willie is the prosecution, defence attorney, and for anybody that's linked to the court. I'm not clearly Scottish. I will see you shortly, Hattie. Clearly Scottish, so have no links to this case at all. So I can talk about it. The media can talk about it. General public can talk about it as well. Hers hasn't been approved yet, and his one is actually being... I just had the word. Basically, they're arguing that it's not fair for the gag order being put in place. And if anybody does actually follow true crime cases in general, it's not uncommon. I'm not talking hypotheses. He said, she said, and opinions. Yeah, obviously all the facts that are already out there, we can discuss it. We can talk about it freely. There is no restrictions on this, apart from those that are actually connected to the case in general. So we know a lot of information. We know that Elizabeth Siders is the children's mother. We know that it's believed that Gary Siders Jr. is all the children's father. This is getting fought against the gag order being put on him, but it's to try and get him a fair trial, which we understand. But if you do follow true crime in general, it is accurate, actually. Please do look up in regards to gag orders and how they actually work, because if you actually follow the Idaho student's murder case, thank you for the follow, Talia, you will know that there was a gag order put in place for that, and the gag order was to stop the prosecution attorneys speaking out in regards to this, and to stop actually the families sharing direct information that they had got from evidentiary as well. This is 100% accurate. Thank you so much for the heartbeat, Jenna. People still discuss the case. People still put out what their what the information that we were getting as a general public. So they are accused of neglect. It's quite severe child neglect, actually. I might make an additional, actually. Danny, if you don't mind. Thank you so much for the heart me. Yes, thank you, Esther. Esther actually worked in law. Thank you for the orange juice. She has a degree. Thank you for the follow, Joanne. Yes, but she's in the UK and she's in Wales specifically. I hope you don't mind that I said that you were Welsh. So apart from the conjoined twins that there is a little placade for, there's a little place for, all the kids have survived. Their full conditions are still not known and they won't be known. It's a HIPAA violation should they reveal information about this, and because at the moment they don't want the family members to know what it is, how they actually are, etc. A lot won't get shared, and I don't agree with sharing the names that are already out there. Any of the social media posts as well, because I'd like to remember, despite the fact that we're talking about these four, there is 16 children out there, I believed still be in hospital, but it's not been confirmed. So I can't say for definite. It's believed to. So I'm only going by what the news sources are telling us, and that is believed that they may still be in hospital. But one of them, one of the prosecution had initially said that they believed that we're all out. But again, you know, you're only going to get so much information. Just remember, I'm fully aware, and I've been saying this from the word go, all 16 children are victims. All 16, I agree, I've just been following someone to know about the ones that were in critical care. I would love to know as well, to be fair. I hope they're safe. And there has been a promise of 1 million. Thank you so much for the follow, Kesley. There has obviously been, they have been promised $1 million to be put for the care and recovery for all 16, which is great. They need it. These 16 kids, they are going to be split up. They are not going to be able to be housed together, which is obviously difficult. I'm aware that somebody alleged that they were a foster carer, and that was how initially it had been leaked that Elizabeth Siders is allegedly pregnant. Again, that's not been released by law enforcement either. But there's a lot that we won't know, and there's a lot we won't get known. But I do wish to say to everybody, yes, there is alleged social media out there for the older of the 16. And oh, sorry, it was just a wee message that popped up there. I do apologise, I was having a wee grin at that. They are minors. They are all classed as minors. Even the 18-year-old is classed as a minor as well. So if you are seeing it, don't share it. Remember, you sharing this information can put a victim in harm's way. We need to focus on the fact that there is 16 kids out there that are classed as victims, and they should be treated as such. They should be treated with the due care and attention, and with all the safeguarding measures that are in place as well. So even if you do stumble across it, or even if you are shared, it is shared in general to yourself, don't share it out to everybody. Just remember that these victims all deserve the anonymity that they are provided as they are victims, and they are all minors. So you're sharing information, you're sharing minors and victims information. And I know there's alleged messages between an alleged boyfriend that's out there who had never met them, they were in a different country. That could, for all we know, that could be absolute bollocks. Because we're never going to know if that is actually true or not. So just remember, 16 kids, they're in a safe place. They're under, they're going to be getting all the help. There's been $1 million that have been promised to the care and the recovery for all 16. There is currently a gag order on Gary Siders Jr., but that doesn't mean that we're not allowed to talk about it, because we very much are allowed to talk about it. We talk about what's already out there and what's already getting shared. The videos, and I've shared the videos that somebody else has actually went in and taken videos of inside the property and stuff. Do I think it's right that they've shared those videos? No, because I think that it should be preserved. But you can't... If somebody's going to have their way, they're going to have their way, and they're going to end up doing it anyway. There is 2 videos out there. Hi Adele, welcome in. There's 2 videos out there. I've shared both. I've also shared stills from videos as well. That's actually, there's 3 in general. One was taken through. Thank you so much for the heart, me Adele. One was taken on from the outside only. So there's actually 3 videos out there, but man, I do believe, because it sounds like a man that's talking, has ultimately shared 2 videos when they've went inside the property. Oh no, honestly, that's absolutely fine. If anyone's late, it's fine. I just actually quickly discussed about the gag order that Gary has and the proposal for the gag order that Christina has. And obviously we are all aware that Gary Siders Sr. is in a specialised hospital getting round the clock care after he had a fall where he was being transported, because initially there was supposed to be an additional hearing, but then it was decided that they were no longer going to do the hearing anymore. He had a fall and a medical emergency and he needed to be rushed to the hospital, but again his care or what is happening to him will not get shared because it is a direct HIPAA violation should that be shared out to the public as well. So ultimately, Adele, what the gag order is to stop prosecution, defence and anybody that's linked to the case to actually really talk about it. So remember when Brian Kohberger, well, the Brian Kohberger case, the Idaho University students murder case was there. There was a gag order put in place really quickly. And that was to protect the evidence. Now, it was years before Kohberger pled guilty, because after all, he only pleaded guilty last year. And so for a good 3 years, there was information, well, just under 3 years, there was a good amount of information being circulated. It was what we knew. It was the probable cause affidavit was obviously shared as well. So you're never not allowed to talk about cases like that. The only time it would actually say outright is if law enforcement or a judge said that it was a gag order for all, which meant all social media. This is in America. The laws with media coverage and social... Thank you so much for the heart, me, Suzette. The laws are completely different in regards to this. There's a lot of information that is out there. In fact, Plunder Studios has recently got the videos of them being booked. Those images are all out there. You see that the fact that Gary Siders Sr. is in a wheelchair. He looks like he's in a bad, quite a bad condition as well from being moved around. Obviously you see the fact that, because it's not just Gary, it's not just Christina, it's not just Elizabeth Siders that had the bruise on the arm. In fact, Gary Siders Sr. did as well. But because everybody was so focused on the mum, people had forgotten about that. And I do, in my opinion, I do find it interesting that these 2 in particular are the ones that are wanting the gag order, whereas her attorney is very open in regards to what is going on, how he's dealing with the client, what Elizabeth Siders is wanting to, she's wanting to see if she can gain any sort of communication with her children, or even to find out how they are and to make sure they're safe. So it's these 2 that want the gag order. He's too ill and she just wants all the information about her kids. So there is questions, and I do understand why there's a lot of questions that's going on at the moment, is about the fact that Gary Siders Sr. had bruises as well. These 2 had medical bands in their blonde hearing, and it was the red bands that are around them. That means that they've got medical conditions. I found that out because I was curious why these 2 had the bands but these 2 never. So they too have, there is definitely medical conditions in regards to this. If anybody remembers the story that, if you were here on the live when I talked about this before and I shared a story about the Appalachians, and what they were like. And it normally is that it's the mother that's the matriarch, and the focus is on the son and lots of kids and stuff. So that was obviously a perspective from somebody else that had obviously given a little bit of perspective on that, which I did share with them as well, that yous were all really grateful to hearing that part too. It's to say about Mike Edison's. Yeah, I mean, if there is something generally wrong, like for what people are saying, again, this is alleged. There is no proof to this, that he looks like he is obviously considerably ill. So, Nosy Bar Steward, I'm being careful. I'm discussing the Siders family case. So that's when 16 children were rescued in quite horrific conditions in Vinton County, Ohio, back on the 30th of June. Thank you so much for the follow, Daisy. So I was just discussing about the fact that there is a gag order in place which is being fought from the state for Gary Siders Sr., and there's been a proposal for one for Christina. It's believed that she was the mother of all 16. Thank you so much for the follow, Eve. And he's the father of all 16. And there was indeed twins that were born that sadly died on the same day as well. And there's a little plaque for them. And they were only of the gestation of 24 weeks. So really quite early. It's believed they were conjoined. The same, if not for the same midwife. Maybe not all 16, but the same midwife was for a majority of the 16 as well. So there is, obviously that does raise questions. Were they known before? And there is known that there was a truancy order put out on the Sider family back in 2021. And they'd only been living at the property for what they know is roughly about 4 years. Well, at least these two, unsure about these two. But they had, it seemed like, sort of moved around, and it is believed, again, alleged, unless this comes out in court, we don't know this 100% as fact, but it's believed that the initial property that they were in, these two were in it first, and then these two joined afterwards, and it looks like it was a rinse and repeat situation because that house was left in quite a considerable mess. The landlord has actually come out and said a story about the mess of the condition that it was in the home that they were once in as well. And it was just obviously to reiterate, there is 16 victims out there that are safeguarded. So for people to be careful about what they're sharing as well in regards to any of the social media things as well. That's the mum and the dad of the kids. So Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders is the mum of Gary Siders Jr. These two got married when he was 18 and she was 15. And it also does kind of highlight about a lot of people's thoughts on child marriages, which seems a bit wrong in my opinion. I was surprised that they could get married that quickly, but all four, that includes her parents, all four parents signed off on the marriage as well, because it could only be with permission with all four. So yeah, that's ultimately who they are. So that's grandpa, that's grandma, that's dad, that's mum. And gag order for dads, proposed gag order from grandma, and grandpa is in hospital. He had a fall in a medical emergency and he's had to get taken to a specialist hospital as well. And from what they say, if he had been left within held on remand, it was believed that it would have been a significant more amount of money on the state to be ordered to be able to treat Gary Siders Sr.'s condition, which is unknown, and that's obviously a HIPAA violation if it is known. All we know he's in a specialised hospital, and he's getting the care that he ultimately needs. There may be a case that he may be unfit to stand trial, but we don't know. But both the grandma and grandpa had thank you so much for the heart, me, Casley. They had medical bans on their wrist when they were initially seen in court. So that's ultimately the update. It does seem like a lot, but at the same time it really doesn't. Obviously I will continue to share any of the pictures that do come out of the home that is continually being videoed. There is 2 official videos, well, believed. I keep saying it's alleged because, you know, we have to. But there was 2 videos that has allegedly been recorded within the property. One of them, the first one that I shared, it does very much look like it is, because you see the police tape outside. And the pictures, when they're put together from what was pictures that were taken from the outside of the property, does kind of match what is being shown. So I really don't think it's an AI, and I don't think it's another property, but it's 2. There's only 2 specific that are inside. I have shared both. One I only just recently shared because I'd shared the stills from it because I couldn't get the full video, but I got the full video today and I have shared it. But again, I will continue. Thank you, Lee. I will continue to say that it's alleged because we do know that for 100% certain that it is inside the home, but it is all alleged at the moment. If it is inside the home, by golly, the mess was horrific. There was so much cockroaches, there was so many flies. The sleeping condition where they would be sleeping was pretty awful. It looked like they were sitting on crates for chairs. There was a couch there. It looked like it was in quite it was rather quite old and stuff, and it just really wasn't a condition for any children at all. And there was 18-month-old twins in that property as well, and it's beggars belief. I've seen some pictures of the homes that are horrific, but these are probably some of the worst, and I really do hope that the children find a way to recover from this as well fully, that there's not a significant amount of long-lasting damage that is caused. I am aware as well that people have shared places where you can send to in Widdecombe County specifically for the children as well. So that's all out there. It's all on the internet. It just takes a little bit of searching. But there's also been a promise from Widdecombe County as well that $1 million will be used for their future care and for their care at the moment. And yes, 100% the children, they do deserve the world and more. I mean, they're from the ages of 18 months to 18 years, and absolute horrific conditions if these videos are genuine. The pictures alone from outside the property when the woman was taking pictures through the windows, obviously those conditions were utterly appalling as it was. It actually looked like the animals were a bit more well cared for than what the actual kids were, and that's really quite horrible. Good evening, Mirangels. It's nice to see you. Now, the next one that I'm going to discuss is very quick, and it's purely because I do believe that somebody needs to obviously. Next thing. Now, it's not law enforcement that have put the picture. Well, thank you very much for the follow, Melanie. It's not law enforcement that have put the picture out of the alleged suspect. It's not law enforcement that have put the name out of the alleged suspect in the Anne Widdecombe murder case as well. Thank you so much for the follow, Fluttershy. Cute name, by the way. It was, in fact, the Daily Mail. Thank you for the follow, Leo and Star. It was, in fact, the Daily Mail. It was the Daily Mail that posted this last night. And since the Daily Mail has posted the alleged suspect's name and picture, this has gone crazy. It is absolutely everywhere. There is people that say it looks like two completely different men. I'm not sharing the picture, and I'm not sharing the person's name either. Just like to, as a quick reminder, this is still very much an ongoing and active investigation, and this is a murder investigation as well. Thank you so much for the heart, me, Leo and Star. And this case, obviously it has garnered a lot of attention. We know that it was a targeted attack. We know that Anne Widdecombe was murdered in her home. We know that she was supposed to appear on Zoom for another talk on Channel 5. We know she had some difficulty with the WhatsApp messages of getting onto the Zoom in the first place, and then she just stopped replying. We know as well that she was found the following day, and it was believed that she had sadly been attacked or in her home at least 24 hours beforehand, before she was found. And when she was found initially, it just broke that she had passed in her home. Then I think everybody was blindsided about the fact that we knew that we found out there was potentially a murder case, and then it came out that it was indeed a murder case. The 26-year-old that was arrested nearby was released without charge, and the 28-year-old man is currently being investigated. Well, thank you so much for the heart, me, Mirangels, is of course getting spoken to there because of what was found when they were doing the searches. They believed that it may have some terrorism aspects, but they're still not saying that it's linked to terrorism, and they're also not saying if it's a politically motivated. All they are saying it was very much targeted. The man drove quite a significant 270 miles to commit the crime that he actually did, which is horrific, which means that this was definitely premeditated and pre-planned. He alleged to have not stopped for topping up any fuel on the way there or on the way back, as I'm sure that those CCTV images would have been released by now to the public. There is obviously CCTV that has not been released to the public, and I am in 100. Thank you so much for the Rosie's hold fast. Hold fast, mate. Sorry, I saw the M, but I wasn't sure what your other bit said. Now, I am actually astounded that the picture is out there as well as the name, given the fact that he has not been formally charged. They got a special extension when he was rearrested on Monday for a 7-day extension to question him in relation to everything. So that included the suspected terrorism as well. I don't understand why she was no women. Yeah, I don't understand why either. I can only imagine it had to be somewhat politically motivated. There was evidence found that was about communism and stuff as well. Pretty awful. There has been parliamentary meetings, and that includes in the Scottish Parliament, in regards to safety and security for political members as well. Because they know something that we don't. If the CPS, which is the Crown Prosecution Service, for anybody that doesn't know what that stands for, decide there is enough evidence to charge him, he will be formally charged on Monday. And that is only when law enforcement will share his name and most likely his picture as well. The Daily Mail shared it last night, and all the news outlets and the media outlets and a lot of creators have been sharing it all. Unless it's confirmed fact, it shouldn't be getting shared at all. So much so that the Daily Express shared the article and then removed the article because you couldn't comment on it. It come up, you know, that error thing that you see when it's not been found because something's been deleted. So if the Daily Express could think that, oh, maybe we shouldn't be sharing that actually, and they took it down, you would think that the other ones, and that includes the Telegraph, the Sun, obviously. Hopefully that don't get brought up in trial. Well, to be fair, it won't be the news outlets and the media outlets that will be the ones that get in trouble for this. Do you know who'll get in trouble for sharing the images of a person? Average Joe public. And that's my belief anyway. People may say I'm wrong, but that's my belief. So that's another reason why I won't share it. And you could be sharing the wrong person as well. Because like I'd mentioned in previous things, how many times has the wrong person's name been put out there to the general public, and then it's not until that a formal charge has been brought against this person that's when the name was actually incorrect, and the news and media outlets have to put out an apology to a specific person because they have said exactly, Adele, a lot. So think about it before you do share the name. I would advise anybody, or I would ask anybody in the nicest possible way, please wait until there is a formal charge. That's all I ask anybody in regards to this. Obviously, we are fully aware. It is they don't know. 1568 Moon. There is nothing that's been put out there about why she was murdered in the first place. Oh, and by the way, I'm on an over 18 live. My whole account is, and TikTok don't mind me too much if I swear a little bit, as long as I'm not too naughty with it. Just shocking. Yes, that's why obviously I did discuss just to give that little bit of an update, because it was, even though I put in what a gag order meant, because there was a lot of questions in regards to it in general. I thought I'd discuss it a little bit because there was a second proposal for the gag order as well, and people thought that they couldn't discuss it just in a general case, but they can. In actual fact, I actually found out through because of gag orders, if a gag order decided to be brought in this case, we'd be allowed to talk about what was out there. Thank you for the follow, Georgie. But in the UK, gag orders are slightly different. Gag orders are... Oh, thank you, Hattie. And thank you so much for the heart me, Georgie. And the follow, of course. Now, in the UK, it's a slightly different in regards to a gag order. It's very limited in general what does get shared with the public. Thank you, guys. It's very much appreciated, all of you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, actually, and all those in between. And also in regards to... Oh, thank you, Adele. It's so lovely of you. Thank you for the TikToks. And of course, as with anything, just be mindful about what you're sharing. Always be mindful about what you're sharing. The last thing that you want is for the incorrect information to have been shared, and then you're having to come back and backtrack this. This is why I personally will not share the person's name and will not share the person's image that is out there, because for all we know, it may not be him. Please wait until Monday and be mindful and careful about what is getting shared, as after all, law enforcement have repeatedly said, and that includes to Nigel Farage, to not share misinformation in regards to this and try not to speculate. So I'm trying to run off as facts as much as possible. When I did speak about this before, of course, I did say, so hypothetically, say we go down this avenue about what was initially getting shared then. But of course, now I'm very much at the point of there's been so much speculation, there's been so much false, I suppose, narrative that have actually been put out there as well, and people thinking that we have a right to know exactly Claire, they are innocent until proven guilty. Just because, even if they get charged on Monday and their name, but that's when they share the name. And that's where to share the image of someone. I think the MP was finalised, so she was going to speak out. Potentially. There's been a lot that's been said, or it could be that, it could be, again, alleged. This is my take on it. Somebody had maybe seen, this person had maybe seen the home on an antique show, which was aired 5 days before, had a dislike to the political party that she was associated with, or had an issue about some of the things that she had said because they didn't agree with her. They say it was targeted, so that was where, and it was very easy to find our home as well, and the fact that it was called Widdecombe's Rest too, that was shared during the when she was showing off her antiques too. It could be that they took a dislike to what she had said, and they decided that they were going to, thank you so much for the finger hearts, Leo and Star. It's very much appreciated. But they could have decided, well, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and we're just going to take her out. But remember, regardless of your feelings, we don't know that though. In regards, if I don't think that it is that he's a scapegoat. There was enough evidence, and you know, CCTV. What they have, we don't know. And you know what? We've got no right to know. We don't have any right to know because we could jeopardise anything that is obviously coming out. And I do believe that's why they have very much said no speculation in regards to what's going on. Because if we are speculating, or, you know, if you're not saying, so let's go with this narrative that is being spun, obviously. But thank you so much for that heart, Adele. And Esther, you are very much correct. The facts that we know are very little, and time will tell, because time will tell. But please do only share things when it's been told in general. Oh, I just missed a hello. Hello, Emily. I hope you're well. Oh, thank you for the heart, me. So just do be mindful. And also the Aberdeen University teacher, they were arrested for and have been charged for what they put out there on the internet surrounding the murder. Hi there, Len, I hope you're well. Yes, exactly, G. At the end of the day, she was a very high controversial person, and no one deserves this. Exactly, no one does deserve this at all. Oops. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm clicking on things that I shouldn't be clicking on, I think. I am well, Emily. I hope you are too. Oh, sorry, you said that to Adele. My bad. I will share, obviously, yeah, Heather. I didn't know she was a Green Party candidate. I do know there was some, and there's certainly a video out there that she did with, thank you for the heart, me, Deb. And I do know there's certainly a video out there that she was in with another transgender person. Thank you so much for the follow, Cam, too. And she said there was some things that were said during that video that she was definitely a part of, even if she never said it, which means that she agreed with the views of their friends, that should have maybe been questioned. Thank you for the follow, Becky. In regards to this, what was said, like talking about like killing people because their views were different, or they didn't agree with X, Y, and Z. It was like utterly abhorrent. I hope to thank you for the follow, Dash Hound Mummy. Well, absolutely revolting, absolutely disgusting. Thank you so much for the rose. No matter what you think of a person, nobody deserves to be murdered in their own home. Thank you for the follow, Helen. Nobody deserves to be murdered in their own home at all. And I am thankful she got arrested as well. I was gobsmacked. Thank you for the follow, Nosy Bar Stewart. Be careful. I see, I can't swear, but I need to be careful as well, because, you know, I can swear so many times, but then TikTok will eventually put up a wee warning because I've maybe sworn one too many times. So, but what Heather had put up was utterly disgusting. She had said that we were to get arrested for it, but basically she said that she hoped that she had been killed in a painful way, and that she hoped that she was handcuffed to the bed and stuff. Quite horrific what she had said. Utterly horrible. She actually doubled down on what she said as well, and I was like, how dare you? That's regardless of what your thoughts are, that was Anne Widdecombe was a 78-year-old woman. She got murdered in her own home. She was controversial, but she owned it. She never backed down. She never took away what she was saying. She believed in Brexit. She stood by it. And she celebrated when Brexit had went through. She was very much an advocate for free speech. She may not have liked. She may not have agreed with gay marriage, but she had a lot of gay friends. She was absolutely hilarious on Celebrity Big Brother. She was hilarious on Strictly Come Dancing. It was so nice to see this amazing side of her that was human. And to be killed in that manner that she was, because it was a bludgeon, she would have been sadly bludgeoned to death, to be killed in such a way, utterly horrific, especially when you think that when you're in your home you are actually really safe. I missed that. That is vile, no matter the views. Now, oops. Oops. It's trying to make me do wallpapers now. It's vile, no matter the views on a person, it's someone's family member and OAP in their own home. Exactly. I actually liked her as well. Like, I so much enjoyed watching her on Strictly, that she didn't care. I enjoy watching her on Celebrity Big Brother because she was funny. I don't know what you meant, Lynn. Yes, and our view on that piece of shit was utterly brilliant. The fact that she told him 3 times to get a job. Phil Potts, who killed his children in a fire, she told him to get a job. You'd imagine she would have had some form of security. I'm no date, but I have CCTV. She probably does, but that won't get told until later. She was great, Tara. And very serious. Yes. Yes, and she was very outspoken afterwards as well, after what he done and was jailed for as well. Yes, Phil was awful man. Terrible crime that he committed. Killed his kids. One survivor. Thank you for the follow, Jenny. Yeah, something like that. She shouldn't have gone outside the show. Well, to be fair, like, who would genuinely think that somebody would just go into her home, especially with how well known she still is, how well known she is. Who would have thought that would have happened? But it's why they now have to. I'm not seen that, but it's definitely I'll definitely be on a watch list as well for the Louis Met episode. Louis Theron's great. He doesn't really care. He just like asks the most random awkward questions. But I like the fact. But again, from what I did see of her, she stood by what she said. What she said, she stood by it. She never backed down at all. She had been in Thank you for the follow, Ronnie. And Lynn, she must have been absolutely terrified as well. Like, there is no political argument and no disagreement with anything has any, and she was still working. Yes, she did, because she retired from politics for a little while, and then she went back into politics. But when she retired from politics, I'm discussing Anne Widdecombe. We was just doing a little bit of a discussion in regards to the fact that Heather from Aberdeen University, she was arrested and charged for what she said about Anne Widdecombe. That's absolutely fine. And I also suggested that people should maybe wait until Monday when the man is formally charged and identified by the police before putting it out, before putting his name and picture out there, because for all we know, the Daily Mail may have got it wrong, and now all these outlets and people are running with the same thing, and it is that whole, we've got to be careful, because it could be mistaken identity, it could be somebody completely different. What the Daily Mail said, but it could be true. But we should stick to, obviously, waiting until the police do make the formal charge if CPS do believe that there is enough evidence against them. But we'll talk about how, obviously, regardless of, you may not have agreed with her political views, but she was a great person. Thank you for the follow, Monica. Oops. She shouldn't have been arrested. Yes, but free speech and hate speech are two very different things, and what she said was disgusting. Initially, the police were going to let it go, but then they changed their mind on this, and that's when they decided, no, we're going to formally charge this person. And Tracy, the reason if you see my name, I'm Banana Ann, I talk true crime. I discuss cases. I discuss old cases and new cases, and I'm very much always want to give a victim back their voice, because a lot of victims are voiceless, and it's nice to talk about nice things about a person, even if they're sadly no longer with us. If you don't like what I'm discussing, you can scroll on. Nobody's holding your ransom in this room, I promise. Thank you for the follow, user. User, we don't know why she was murdered, and Monica, the same with yourself. And thank you as well for the follow, by the way. We don't know why the person did it. We would love to know, but we probably won't know for quite some time. Thank you for the roses, Rory. We won't know for quite some time, and we may actually never know, because thank you for the rose, Monica. It's true exactly what Angela's just said. Question a lot of people's mind at the moment, unfortunately, and we probably might never know. Yes, he did go plants, which is why they have officially said that it was a targeted attack. Oh my God, thank you so much, Leo and Star. That is amazing. Thank you. We will never know at all. We might, all we just know is it's targeted. He planned that. It's premeditated, no matter what. And thank you for the follow, Kelly, but this woman did not deserve it. She was amazing, absolutely incredible, and it's believed that she only ever had one love of her life as well, apart from her cats. But she only ever had one love of her life, and her cat is, for what has said, is safe, well and thriving, but I'm sure very much missing their mummy, which is horrible. Now, this case that I'm going to talk about now, obviously if there is any more updates in regards to Anne Widdecombe, I will be sure to bring them. Same with the Siders case as well. Now, I had a picture, and where is this picture gone? I cannot find that picture now. Oops. Oh goodness. Ah, See, I'm terrible. Oh, no, 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 no. What's that coming up? No, no, go away. I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I've done. Thank you for the fireworks. Now, the other case that I do want to, and I have no idea, by the way, what I hit, so if something weird starts happening, I am so sorry. So, this case is officially nicknamed the Level Up Murder. This is Grace Jennings. This is Kira I always say her name wrong. McCulley. And this, who has just recently been found guilty, is Isaac Apodoka. Thank you so much for the follow, Husky. Now, Grace Jennings was a 22-year-old woman who was murdered by sword from Kiara. Now, she admitted to this crime and she took a plea deal. She was given 30 years for the murder of Grace in February last year, under the condition that she testified against him and did not lie. If she lied, thank you for the follow, Nicola. Yes, USA. So it was Santa Fe. In fact, this is where it happened. So I've got as much, now there is a lot that this case, obviously there's been a full trial that's gone on about him. I just recently shared that he was found guilty. I had been literally on verdict watch because I was curious as to what they were going to say. And I just noticed I did have a new follow, but it's not come up the name. So thank you for the follow. And I'm sorry I can't say your name exactly because it never... Oh, Nicola. Thank you. Sorry. Now, this happened in October 2022. Now, I have a bit of a breakdown for this. Now, there's a lot of information in regards to this. I was waiting to find out what the jury were going to say about this, and I do believe the jury made the correct decision on him. He will be formally sentenced, and thank you for the Heart Me Sue's baby, and welcome on in. But this is classified as the Level Up Murder. And I'm going to be telling you all why. It is horrific. It is horrible. It was quite when I really looked into it, it was quite, oh my goodness. And when I heard her, I will, because her court testimony is 46 minutes long, I won't share it here. I don't think I'm able to because it's a long one. I'll try and share it, what she said in court. So I'm going to go through all the ages. But she was only 22 when she was murdered. Now, so the Level Up case refers to the October 2022 murder of Grace Jennings in Santa Fe County, New Mexico. The nickname comes from prosecutors, yes, still a baby, allegation that Kiera McCulley believed killing Grace would allow her to level up within a supposed vigilante association described by her boyfriend, and they named themselves Ghosts. And that was by Isaac Apodoka. The Level Up title is widely used by true crime creators, but it's not the official case name. Obviously, the reason we said this, because she believed, or she was told after a lot of coercion, that killing Grace would allow her to level up in the ghost cult vigilante group. Sounded more like a cult when I hear her talking about it, but if I can't put her full testimony as a video here, I will put it on my YouTube, and my YouTube's the same name as what's here as well. Now, according to investigators, Ciara McCulley and Isaac Apodaca were living together on a property in Santa Fe County. She was actually living in her mother's garage. And it was a detached garage that she was staying in. She had a difficult home life with her mum, it was stated, and she kind of moved around a little bit more than normal when she actually dropped out of school quite early as well. Now, Isaac allegedly claimed to belong to the secret vigilante organisation that eliminated criminals. Investigators later believed that Ciara may have adopted many of these beliefs. Grace Jennings had previously dated both Isaac and Ciara at different times, creating a complicated history between the three. Now, the timeline of Grace, Ciara and Isaac's relationship. Now, before 2016, Grace and Isaac entered a relationship when Grace was about 16 years old and Isaac was approximately 20. Relationship was reportedly brief, and multiple sources indicate that they remained on a relatively friendly term afterwards. After Grace and Isaac broke up, Grace began dating Ciara. The exact start date isn't publicly documented, but investigators are reporting place the beginning of the relationship in either 2016 or 2017. Approximately 11 months later, Grace and Ciara's relationship ended. Now, according to her testimony in court, it was Ciara that actually broke the relationship, but she still loved her. Now, she actually stated this, and again, this comes from her words herself, because I watched it in full and kind of repeated it a little bit as well. She had stated that she was supposed to, her and Grace were supposed to go to a park nearby her mum's to meet Isaac. Grace wasn't able to attend for whatever reason, and that meeting was between Ciara and Isaac, and that was when their first date was. Grace, obviously the breakup ended badly for no reasons. Hi there, Mary, welcome on in. And Grace attempted to distance herself from Ciara, and Ciara allegedly remained angry about the breakup for years afterwards because she said she still loved her. The precise details is not documented in proper records, but obviously, like I said, that's what she said about their how they two got together. Now, by 2022, Ciara and Isaac had been together for several years and were reportedly engaged. Contemporary reporting described them as having a 3-year engagement, meaning they were likely engaged around 2019, although the exact date they first became a couple has not been publicly confirmed. Now, according to what Ciara said during court, Isaac was very abusive towards her and beat her up kind of bad. So this is called the Level Up murder. It was nicknamed that because she killed Grace Grace Jennings, because she believed that she was going to level up in a vigilante group called Ghost, which seemed very cult-like. She said during court that she had been abused by Isaac for years. That at one point she was even hospitalized because he had broke her thumb. and she had some bruises. Yeah, they do. That's why I'm saying it was very much, when I heard about it, it sounded very much cult-like, but I do agree they do share very many parallels. She felt she had no choice but to get back together with him, as what does happen in a lot of domestic violence relationships, as we're all fully aware. And he forced her to drop the charges against him. Then, after all of this, they had continued to date, but he was continued to be rather abusive to them. For a spell, they moved into another home where they had a flatmate, but nobody worked. And it was believed, well, according to what she said on the court, on the stand, it was suggested by Isaac that she become a sex worker. She had trepidations about this, but it wasn't just, thank you so much for the follow, Elle. It wasn't just a suggestion. In fact, he already had clients lined up for her. She slept with a lot of clients. Thank you for all the taps, by the way, it's appreciated. She did sleep with a lot of clients. She would take the money and she would give the money to Isaac. Remember, she was very much controlled. She was young herself. He was older. I know that sounds like a feeble excuse, but if you're in a controlled and coercively controlling relationship, it can be very easy to follow along with anything that you are told. And the ghost thing had started to be suggested to her. Isaac said to her that he had murdered over 50 people, that the only way that she would be able to level up is if she killed somebody, that they only killed criminals, so obviously all the criminals you could think of. Yeah, good old fear. And she would have to show allegiance, I suppose, to level up and to actually start getting paid from the Ghost Vigilante group as if she murdered somebody. She had on her hand, which is now covered up, a tattoo of a symbol of ghost, like it was the mark of ghosts, I suppose, to be a better way. I must mean terrified to be fair. Someone said do this. I've unloaded 50. Yes. Yeah, so obviously the sex work was 100% financial abuse. He kept the majority of the money of himself. She saw very little. And Halloween, before this happened, before the crime, so in 2021, she was raped. Thank you so much for the follow, Linda. It was from one of her clients who became a friend. Thank you for the follow, Nina, and thank you for the heart me. And she believed that she was drugged because she can't remember anything that was going on. Now, this is this person, by the way. And she had, thank you so much for the heart me, and yay, number 50 in the fan club. I can't believe there's 50 of you. You are so awesome. She had, then was, thank you for the follow, Michelle. That was when she said that she was raped. This was reported and there was proof that she had been raped. I do believe it was filmed, if I'm not mistaken. And she was guilty of murder in the first degree. So she took a plea deal. She actually was sentenced to 30 years last year, and under the condition she testified against him, told the truth. If she never told the truth and it came out that she was lying, more jail term would have been added to her sentence as well. Yes, I do agree with that plea deal, although the wounds on, I will come to that on Grace. maybe I would say overkill would be the best thing to actually say in regards to this. Now, they then moved back to Ciara's mum's home, and they moved back into the detached garage. They were engaged on the 22nd of August 2022, and now towards the end of sorry, I'll rephrase that. Grace became engaged to her fiance Jackson on the 22nd of August 2022. I do apologise. She obviously got started in a relationship. She started dating she got to end up getting a fiance. Now, before that engagement had happened, he was wanting to put as much different distance between these two as possible. And remember, in order to level up in the Ghost Vigilante group, she had to kill somebody. So for whatever reason, he decided that this was going to be the person that was to be killed. And do remember, she had repeated during the court appearance as well, and during her testimony, that she still actually kind of loved Grace. Up to what I'm about to say of this. Now, he told her that she had set up for her to be gang raped, and this was all videoed. She had no recollection of this, and had said that Grace had drugged her. On hindsight, she now realises that that was probably a fabricated story. She was very much controlled. Remember, she was very much controlled. There is proof of coercion between this pair. He was controlling towards her. It was a domestic abusive relationship. He was violent towards her. He was very controlling. He was the one that forced her to do sex work in order to earn money, and spent most of the money on himself. So he told her that in that case, Grace has to die, and that the person to do it was going to be Ciara, as she needed to be out of the picture. And that was ultimately what he said. But he had ultimately started to goad her into it and really broke her down. Thank you for the follow, Carla. Really broke her down to the point that she actually felt she couldn't say no at all. Now, in October, before the murder, the sword was bought. There was daggers. She actually lost the butterfly knife. It's what she had said herself 2 weeks prior. So she used a butter knife. There was daggers found. There was a sword found. 24-inch sword that was found. It was actually really nicely engraved and stuff as well. That was purchased from Amazon. They named that, and I cannot remember what she named the sword. This was purchased afterwards, and remember, for a long time she wasn't seeing Grace. Ciara didn't want to see Grace. She didn't want to see somebody that had apparently set her up to be gang raped and apparently had made money off it by selling the video. He told her there was no evidence online anymore because he was her hero, and got everything removed and it was never to be found again. But Grace still had the evidence of this. So on the lead up to this, initially, Ciara was meant to murder Grace in the park near her mum's home. And she had an armoured suit on, faux leather trousers, and she had daggers with her. So it was more than one dagger that she had with her, and the sword. So there was multiple weapons. She was really angry. She was filled with rage. She believed everything he was telling her. Remember, this was a vigilante group, which has a very thin line between a cult and a vigilante group. She was getting bullied by him, ultimately manipulated by him. She was controlled by him. Everything was pit against her. She was forced into having sex work from him. She would actually even been raped because of him as well. So it was her believing that her once lover and now her friends, who she still cared about, to feel like she had been betrayed in such a way, it obviously filled her with an extreme amount of rage. Now, I am not excusing murder, before anybody says, but it's not an excuse, it's a reason. And this case, I believe it's very important to talk about, because it's been proven in a court of law, and a jury believes this as well, that you can be coerced and manipulated to the point that you're so broken down that that the only thing that you can do to get out of this situation, or you're filled with all this rage, is that you need to eliminate what's caused this certain amount of rage. It can happen. This has been proven in court. I followed this trial. I followed the whole 6 days. I have all 6 days of transcripts from the court. So I have pages and pages and pages that maybe I've not read every single bit fully, but I listened to her testimony and I just literally went, oh my God. There's also proof all the text messages and all the Facebook messages and Instagrams, etc., is not all out there to be seen, because there is thousands of messages between the two. There is obviously the proof that she did get care in hospital for what he did to her when he attacked her. There was proof of multiple other times where he had assaulted her. It was because of him that she had been raped as well. So to implant, thank you so much for the follow, Lauren. So to implant, and thank you so much for the heart me, a story that she had set up a gang rape, and this never happened, but she didn't know that at the time. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. She's had time to think about what she's done. And a lot of time. In fact, she's now in jail. But she had, thank you so much for the Go Popular as well. Lauren, it's appreciated. Now, near the end of October, Grace and Jackson, that was her fiance, had an argument and needed a place to stay. Now, wasn't this so very convenient for this person, for Isaac? And she had, yes, at the heart of this is, men, it's horrible. She needed somewhere to stay. She contacted friends. And the person that found her a place to stay was Isaac. And Grace did not initially realise that the place belonged to both Isaac and Kiara. Now remember, Grace tried to distance herself from Kiara. And Kiara still loved her, but had been told all this lies and nonsense by this controlling piece of shit. So, the night before the murder, Grace had arrived at the property. She stayed in a detached garage. Phone evidence suggested that Grace was uncertain whether Kiara even knew she was there. Messages discovered from Isaac's phone allegedly showed discussions between Isaac and Kiara while Grace slept. Prosecutors later argued the messages reflect planning for the killing and cleanup. The prosecution's theory, which to be fair was backed up by what she had said, was Isaac convinced Kiara he had belonged to a covert organisation targeting criminals. This was a vigilante group called Ghost. Members supposedly advanced by carrying out killings. Isaac told Kiara that to level up, she needed to kill Grace. These allegations became central to the prosecution's theory of a motive that represents the prosecution's interpretation of the evidence rather than an independently established fact, apart from her testimony in court. The police said that now, the day that it happened, well, the morning it happened, Kiara had actually told court that the night that it happened, she hadn't actually, the night before, she hadn't actually slept. whenever she went to sleep grumpy, she would always wake up grumpy, and Isaac didn't like that, so made her stay awake when she was grumpy. And she was grumpy, annoyed, feeling all the rage because she was asleep on where Isaac would have slept on the bed, and that was beside the fridge. But on the right hand side of the fridge was a queen size bed, so they're not significantly large as well. The queen size bed, which is near the garage door, was supposed to be her side of the bed, and this is where Grace was. Grace fell asleep, so her and Isaac were conversing a lot via messages. Yeah, sleep is important to make clear, competent decisions, and he probably thought this was the greatest way ever, because this has most likely been stewing in his mind for quite a considerable amount of time, and to implant such a significantly large, horrific story into her mind, and she's already very much controlled by him, it would have caused, I can only imagine the rage that she would have felt, and she had obviously been raped previously as well. Now, yeah, abuse through and through. Now, I'm going to have a cigarette, so it's going to come up as a substance warning, but I don't care. I'm on an over 18 live. I just encourage people not to smoke in general if you don't already, because smoking's bad. Anyway, when it came to the point that it happened, now the text messages were shared between them all night. She had actually said repeatedly that she couldn't do it, as she wanted him to do it. She was scared, I suppose, of it. Change of mind, change of heart in regards to what she was doing. She had asked him to get rid of her, as in to throw Grace out the house, or do something about it. Thank you for the follow, Rosie. So she was already in that frame of mind of not. He was the one that gave her the daggers. He made sure that she had the sword as well, which I said was a significantly large sword. And there was numerous places, it was on numerous parts of the beds in general, and at one point it was actually laid between the two women. And sorry, I'm going mad. I thought I heard Chris coming down in the back. I told you it would come up with her, because she was supposed to say, see, smoke is bad, but it's just a cigarette, nothing more. And she said in court that the morning it happened, they were arguing. There was an argument that kicked off. And then she picked up the sword and she swung the sword. And it hit Grace directly. Isaac then goaded her by saying, do it, just do it, finish the job, do it. Like, he had, after all the goading all night, was properly in her head, and for, a long time to set this up beforehand. He then left the garage, said that he was away for a smoke. And she subsequently killed Grace by repeatedly stabbing her with the sword, so much so that Grace was actually almost decapitated. When it was done, he came back in. Now, she says that she left Grace on the bed, and when it was done, and the sword on the floor. She had obviously been injured by the swords during this happening, and he told her to go for a shower. So she did. She went to the main house, which was her mum's house. She went for a shower, cleaned herself off, and then got a bundle of towels because she believed that he was going to be cleaning up, and that the towels were to help get things cleaned up. However, she never got as far as back to the garage again, because what he actually did when she went for the shower, which lasted roughly 15 minutes, and had got to change into clean clothing, the police were already arriving. because he had called the police on her to say that Kiara had murdered her friends. And so when they turned up, like, I've seen the body cam footage of the police arriving and them saying to her completely dumbstruck mum that Grace had been murdered. And she had no idea that Grace was even there. And she was acting like, who was murdered? What do you mean? Like, you know, like she had no idea what was going on. But very calm. I remember where I said that Grace was left on the bed. Well, Grace, when the police found her, was on the floor, which suggests he had moved Grace onto the floor afterwards. Remember, so obviously this was what she had said in regards to this. Both of them were arrested. She went very calm. She had initially said she suffered from DID, so a dissociative disorder, dissociative identity disorder, I should say. When I watched her interrogation, she obviously talks about the fact that she's got multiple personalities inside her. All of them have different names. In fact, the one they called Jinx, it was a nickname because you don't say what that person's name actually is because she turns violent. She says Kiara is a young girl and they all protect her. So it was a defence that she had obviously then decided that that's what she was going to do, a defence. Although she does state, because remember, she still believes that Grace had done bad things and she was going to level up and get paid for being in the vigilante group called Ghost, and that she was, you know, she'd done what she was meant to do right. She was killing somebody that was bad. She says during her interrogation that she hoped that Grace was dead. She didn't know if Grace was dead though. There's quite a lot. They both don't get a lawyer involved at all in their first interrogation. His is longer than hers, because he claimed that he had nothing to do with it. This was all a lie. It was all Kiara. That's why he phoned the police. That's why he reported her. So multiple things. You know, he had already ensured that somebody else did it as opposed to it being him. She was sent for a psychiatric treatment and she was deemed fit to stand trial, and the dissociative identity disorder was not used in court at all. I do have some of the messages. So some of the messages that were shared between this was obviously in court. This is all really that's been out. There's not a lot of it that's been put out. I tried hunting for it. I think I'll need to put a FOIA in for it, actually, to be fair, to actually see some of the messages, at least specifically for that night. Isaac to Kiara, I'm waiting for you to kill her. The second message followed, you have to end your suffering by ending her joy. And obviously prosecutors described these as direct encouragement to kill Grace. Isaac later denied he genuinely intended for the killing. Then message sequence 2, investigators testified Isaac discussed how Kiara would gain status within the fictional organisation he had described to her. One message reportedly said, it did say, remember, you'll move up the ranks. Continued by referring, perks in the black market since this is your first time. And these were the basis of prosecution's level up. Now, Kiara to Isaac, and this is paraphrased in the testimony, which is true. She couldn't tell whether Grace was asleep. Grace's feet were on her side of the bed, and one publicly quoted line was, I can't tell if she's falling asleep. Message sequence 4, Isaac urged her again, one quoted message, I wish you'd make the first move for once. And this was obviously referring to the attack. Message sequence 5, jurors were shown messages discussing the weapons. One message from Isaac instructed Kiara, with the dagger, bring it up, turn flat south to north, and with hilt east to west, which means the position of how to carry out the murder. Isaac, the message sequence says 6. Isaac also sent, "I'm just saying swing and don't regret the aim," followed by, "I'm not playing games and I'm wanting to see you do this." This was obviously prosecution's argument as evidence of planning and encouragement. Now, these were brought up on day 6 of the trial. The clean-up discussion, investigators testified the pair had also exchanged messages about what would happen after the killing. Example discussed in court included references to the mess, Kiera being in charge of the clean-up, moving of the body, a remote barn with soundproof walls. Isaac later claimed these conversations referred to unrelated matters and denied the concerned murder. But the morning of Saturday, October 29th, 2022, Grace was awake. Her phone contained messages suggesting she did not know a murder was being planned. Thank you so much for the friendship necklaces. One publicly reported exchange included Grace asking, "Why is she kicking you out?" because it was to make it look like there was an argument. Thank you so much for the heart, Natasha. This was obviously, there was a duration of it all, make out there was an argument, we're not talking, we'll get you kicked out. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrifically sad. Followed by, "Does she know I'm here?" Investigators interpreted these messages as showing Grace was concerned Kiera did not know she was staying there and had no indication she was in danger. Shortly afterwards, according to Kiera's later guilty plea and the prosecution case, Grace was attacked with a sword. She sustained multiple stab wounds. The attack occurred inside the detached garage. Prosecutors argued that the Facebook messages immediately preceding the attack showed conspiracy and premeditation. After the killing, according to Isaac's police interview, Kiera allegedly told him the words to the effect of, "I did it." Isaac left the property. He walked to a nearby phone store. He called his mother. His mother contacted emergency services. Police soon arrived and arrested Kiera. Isaac was later arrested after detectives reviewed his phone. And although investigators testified there were hundreds of texts and Facebook messages between Isaac and Kiera, only select excerpts have been quoted in open court or media coverage. The complete forensic extraction from their phone messages has not been released to public, so there's no verified minute-by-minute transcript of every message exchanged in the final 24 hours. I do know that she had at least 26 wounds. Thank you so much for the follow, Paul. 26 wounds, and she was actually almost decapitated, and the sword was what done it. Now, Isaac was found guilty for conspiracy to murder as well as murder. Coercion charges. There was a list of charges that were brought against him, but some of them were the second-degree murder and second-degree premeditation. Those were left unsigned by the jury. The jury found him guilty for the first-degree charges. Isaac has not been sentenced yet and will be sentenced in August, so next month. The reason I tell this story, there's much to the fact that it's an utterly horrific story, and it is obviously another true crime story, is the fact that it is proof, unfortunately, that people can be coerced to the fact that they feel that they have nothing else that they can do but to commit an absolutely atrocious act of taking somebody else's life. This has now been proven in court that this can happen. Watching her testimony on the stands was crazy. She was so calm. She was the most politest person you could actually think as well. She needed some water at one point, and she like paused for a second and asked in the kindest voice for some water. And when she was given the water, she said thank you, much appreciated. And you don't really tend to hear that very often, especially when somebody's guilty and they've admitted to guilt and they're testifying against somebody else. Then it was so polite. She was such soft spoken as well. And for what this person has turned this person into is utterly insane. And what happened to Grace is horrific. It is horrible. There's no other way to describe her murder as being utterly horrific. It was overkill. A considerable amount of overkill as well. And this man is what caused this person to be murdered by her. Like I waited for it to come because I knew that it was at that point it was the most likely, well, we knew that the jury was going to be sent out for the jury discussions or deliberations in regards to this, and it took them 1 hour and 47 minutes to come back with a decision. So it was quite quick. It was a 6-day trial, with obviously day 6 being quite short because it was a closing arguments. But utterly horrific. It's a horrible case. There's no, like, she doesn't win because of what she's done. She now has to live in jail for the next 30 years. Thank you for the follow. So it happened on the 29th of October 2022. She took the plea deal in February. Well, she was sentenced really in February last year, and his trial only just ended the other day. So yeah, it's all been like because obviously it was the competency of whether or not she was able to stand trial or not, because she does display quite the character during her interrogation as well. Thank you so much for the follow. Well, not the follow, the slay thing. That's so cool. Natasha, appreciated. And thank you for the finger heart and the flame heart as well. Thank you so much. And the clap. Please never feel that you do have to gift. I do appreciate every single last one of you. I appreciate just the taps and the watches and the reposts and shares as well. It's amazing. I wouldn't be sharing these stories if it wasn't for all of you listening to me as well. But this had to be discussed. Thank you so much for the heart me, Queenie. This had to be, of course, discussed. I'd always wondered if somebody could be coerced and manipulated to the point that they would actually kill somebody and not the actual person that's causing the violence, the domestic violence and the abuse, and psychological as well as physical. But if it could go to a third party, and unfortunately the answer I got was this case and Grace Jennings being murdered because he planned, manipulated, coerced, everything. That's why it does sound more cult-like when you think of the fictional vigilante group Ghosts. Brainwashed, yeah, 100%, Georgie. Everything about it. It was horrible. And, you know, for him to do this to her, there's no actual reason to that. Unless she had told him at one point that she still loved her. Would be the only... Thank you so much for the Heart Me Rock Pip. Be the only reason that I could potentially think, well, my thoughts on that is the fact that he didn't want her to have any friends. He wanted to keep her as isolated and alone as possible. He knew she had a difficult upbringing. She knew that she had dropped out of school early. She seemed to be able to be... Thank goodness he called the cops. More victims could have been on the cards. That's true. And it is. It's an utterly coercive relationship. But I've never... You hear of victims killing the perpetrator, or the perpetrator or the coercive person killing their victim. But it's the first I've heard about a third-party victim being involved in it all. But it had to have been that she admitted that she still loved her. I wonder why he made her do it, but then called to turn her in. It's a very good question, and in regards to that, and I don't think we will ever know, because he claimed that he was completely innocent, that he had no idea she was doing this, and this, you know, he had done nothing wrong, and everything about what he was. Like I've listened to I've watched his interrogation as well, but he's so cocky. Yeah, he thought he was going to get away with it. But isn't that the wonderful thing about the internet, and whatever you put out there for the world to see, even if it's a message, it's got to be somewhere. And it all came from his device, his Facebook, his Instagram. So, I mean, but Grace, out of all of this, is the victim. Okay, I'll see you soon, Hattie. Grace, and out of all of this, well, the main victim in this is Grace, but she is, as much as she caused her death, she is a victim in all this too. But just a different way you would normally expect a coercive, controlled person to behave. And the only thing that it could possibly be, and the only reason I could even try to understand why he did this, is because he was probably jealous of them two. And he wanted to keep Kiara all to himself. Happy to sell her, because that's what he did. He had set up a profile for her on I cannot remember the name of the website now, but it's obviously for sex workers and escorts. He had made the profile. He had taken the pictures and put it up. He was the one that was sending pictures to the clients, or prospective clients of her. You're right, unfortunately, most human beings get off lies and deception. Yeah, they totally do. Like, it does make me wonder if what made. I would like to know what made him change his mind and call the police, though, because he really did push her into doing it. Did he realise that once it actually happened, that there was going to be no way that they were going to clean up afterwards? They weren't going to just be able to act like it never happened. To exonerate himself, yeah. But at the same time, could it have been the fact that he obviously once the crime had been committed and this poor woman had been murdered in such a brutal and horrific way, could it have been that he's seen that and going, oh, maybe it's not as quite as easy to clean something like this up as I thought? And that's when he's decided, well, I'm not going to get... Well, what are you doing? Sorry, my cat's in the background, just being a wee weirdo. That sounds so mean. What are you doing? He's just staring at me. Yeah, he's on the floor. He might come up, he might not. He has been rather camera shy ever since he started going live again, so he's just quite funny. But no, like this case gives me more questions than it does answers, to be fair. But I was curious of what other people thought, and it was, oh, there's Bob. You see him in the background. It's like, I'm going to the window. The only thing is, though, Bob was naughty a couple of nights ago, and after he'd been up at the window, he came down and decided that he was going to pee all over my weighted sloth, which had to go in the washing machine. Thankfully, they never got the insides and I could take that out, and all over my pillow and my cushion that I was on. So there's a trepidation of him, obviously, there's a worry a little bit of him being up at the window. I'm keeping an eye on him because Bob's not been snapped. So And there's definitely a female around. But no, I was interested to see what other people thought of this as well. Like, there'll be some people that'll say that she's not a victim at all because of what she's done. But with the grand scope of it all, I do think she is. That's a possibility. That he wouldn't be a suspect to shopping in the girlfriend. Completely agree. Bob's wanting a pet. That's cute. Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying. It's the fact that I agree. I think he was jealous and set her up. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I say it all the time. Like, are people? I always keep saying, are people that stupid? But then this case proves that, you know, he is that stupid that he thought he would not get caught, or he would not be realised. And I always say it, are there people really that stupid? But they are. He is. He is an absolute muppet. He is an actual disgusting piece of shit as well. When she went to shower, how did her mother? I don't know, because her mum was surprised. Like, to be fair, I've seen the body cam footage. I don't think the relationship between mother and daughter was that great. So she probably never even passed her mum. Her mum could have been in another room. Just in general. So my guess is the fact that she managed to disguise it, but it was the fact that there was the towels and stuff that she had taken, you know, to clean up. Or because she thought she was going to be helping Isaac clean up after work. She has to get back to Isaac to make sure she was cleaned up. You know, it was, I wonder if he got spooked thinking how messy it was, could turn on him unevenly cause it. Yeah, that's what I thought it could be. Maybe he realised that disposing of a body wasn't quite so easy. And remember when I said that she said that Grace was murdered on the bed, but when police found her, she was on the floor. So I do wonder if he had maybe initially tried to move Grace, realised that Grace was a lot heavier, because, you know, he's always said dead weight and a body is a lot more difficult to move than what people will kind of realise that they actually move. That it could have been that he realised that the body was a lot heavier. There was going to be no way that they could get away with this. So he's went, well, I'm not getting in trouble for this. I'm just gonna shop her. I'm just gonna dub her in. She's gonna be the one that's gonna get in trouble for this. So it is a possibility of that as well. Like, there's never, like I said, it opens so many different questions, but I also do think it opens up quite an important discussion in regards to domestic, abusive and violent relationships as well. And how easy it clearly is for somebody that is the controlling one in a relationship. You would have thought so, Esther. That's the thing. Like, there was a thought for a while that was just like, would it be that he thought that moving a body would have been a lot easier, and it wasn't until it came to attempting to that when she's ended up on the floor and he's panicked. Oh, that's awesome that you've watched me for 100 minutes. I hope I don't like talk too much nonsense where you think that I'm actually crazy, because I'm really not, honest. It's just I mean, it was definitely like, there's been, is it Explore With Us on YouTube? I remember seeing the body cam of them turning up at her home, and her mum, Kiara's mum, being told that it was a dead body in there. And then Explore With Us had also showed Grace's mum being told, and it was, what did they do to her? Did they shoot her? She's obviously in a state of shock, and there's people that go, oh, but the mum was a bit weird when she got told. She didn't seem surprised. But remember, if you've just been told that your child or somebody you love has been murdered, you don't know what your reaction is going to be. Your reaction could be absolutely anything, and hers was very much the questions. Are you going to behave? Yeah, he's chilling. But he could. She asked 1,000,001 questions. What happened? She thought she had been shot. She certainly never realised that her daughter had been stabbed and almost decapitated. I can't imagine what Grace would have thought at that moment as well, because she's went to somebody to get help, well, to get somewhere to stay because she's had a fallout with her fiance. She's went to her friends. One friend says they've got somewhere to stay. But he had when I'd obviously been talking about, but the day before or the time before it was supposed to happen, like Isaac was supposed to get Grace to that park. That's why Kiara had dressed up in the body armor and had the daggers and the sword with her and stuff. So vigilante style clothing. It's horrid. He'll never like take accountability for what he'd done. She has taken accountability. She knows what she's done wrong. It maybe take her a bit of time to get there, but I think once she realised there was no insanity defence that was going to be put forward, there was no DID defence that was going to be put forward as well. She knew that if she told the truth and told all, she could get a plea deal out of it as well. And part of the plea deal was to testify against him and tell what had happened, tell the truth. It's a harrowing story. It's awful. I can't imagine what Grace's friends and family have gone through since then, and I can't actually imagine what Kiara's friends and family have gone through since then as well. There's victims on two sides, because even the murderer in this case is a victim. But justice has been done, and justice has been served, and the jury, I believe, made the right decision. It'll never bring, obviously, Grace back at all, in the slightest. Even when free, Kiara will have to always live with what she's done, and she'll always be known as a murderer. And Isaac, I hope, gets a really, really long sentence. It's not going to be lenient, or I say lenient, but 30 years is still a considerable amount of time. Not going to be a 30-year sentence, that's for sure, because everything about his guilt was a jury that found him guilty. So he could even get life without the possibility of parole. But we'll find out in August, of course. That was quite a lot. It's a difficult case. It's a horrible case. But I will, if I can, if TikTok don't allow me to share it, I'll definitely share what I'm finding, especially her testimony. I think her testimony is really, it's a must watch to get into her mind, I suppose, being the best way to describe that. But if I can't post out, seeing as I saw a movie being posted in full, I might be able to get away with putting the full witness stands thing. Yes, I do have a YouTube. It's Banana and True Crime Talks, very much similar to here. It's only me, but I do have a lot of videos. I try and back and now do try and back my videos up after what had happened back in December with this account, even though I got it back. But yeah, I'm going to take them down because I feel kind of wrong discussing this when these are up. At least I can know how to take pictures down now. So before, I had to put a background on and I had to put a picture absolutely tiny, and I was actually so embarrassed when I had to shrink something down. Yeah, I do have a, although I've not actually downloaded and posted my last live that I'd done, but I try and put the lives up, the live replay, so that if anybody missed it, they've got the chance to actually watch it there as well, so they actually hear me talking all the nonsense too. It is an intriguing case, Tara. I do agree. It's just I swear there's no case that I cover that makes any sense to me, actually, to be fair. Oh, and have you all noticed, because obviously I did mention a couple of times, there is going to be a 3-part documentary on Netflix on the 29th of this month for the Idaho students' murder case. Allegedly, they have never seen before body cam footage. And it would appear they maybe have more of the family than what they did, than what Amazon Prime did. I will be watching it, of course. Chris, my partner, is very much like, yeah, I'm not. So you can watch it on your own, which I totally understand, because he's now that as he sees it as that's it done now. You know, there's somebody behind bars, and he had me talking about this case all the time before it went to well, before it was going to go to trial, and then obviously Kohberger took a plea, or asked for a plea, I should say. But yes, I did live and breathe that case. The amount of information that I had before and even afterwards, I've always seen the little bits, and afterwards I've seen the FOIAs that pro-burgers have put out, and they've tried to, and they've excluded information that was vital to be released, as well as I've seen FOIAs that were released from other people as well. I've went through, I think I read every single court document that was actually out there back when Idaho allowed people in the UK to see it all. Totally grateful to the good Facebook group that obviously covered this extensively as well, because anything that it does come out new, and because they know that the UK crowd can't see it, they make sure to put everything backed up in the Google Drive, so it's always there if we need to see it. I've never finished all the books, but I definitely have as many as the books as well. But I won't buy the one that was written by a pro-burger, The Broken Play. Yeah, nah, you're all right. You can keep that to yourself. It's absolutely full of nonsense. It was hearsay. That's what I class that book as. The Chris Watts case was wild, though. Do you know, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, it was little Cece's birthday. Can't remember when it was. Yeah, that whole, thank you folks so much for the follow, Jazz. The Chris Watts case is awful. I remember when I watched, I think so many of us did actually, we maybe something, hubby said he did it. Oh, AD. AD's English. Oh, you mean about me? Oh, that's funny. I just got what you meant there, Adele. That's funny. I think a lot of people knew. It has to go, what could dogs know is cooler. Thank you for the interest in life. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Leo. Thank you for the follow and the gifts as well. It was very much appreciated. And I hope to see you at the next live. And I'll definitely see you on the Mean Streets TikTok as well. So thank you for being here. And Adele, that's funny. That's actually really funny. Honestly, I know it was a lot, and I know I probably sounded a little bit preachy when I was discussing the Anne Widdecombe suspect thing. Thank you so much for the good jobs at Mirangels. But no, I thought the case, I was going to go live yesterday, but I was far too tired. And it was the same with Thursday. I literally went Thursday I came home from work an hour early and pretty much fell into bed, and if it wasn't for Chris I wouldn't have got up to eat or even drink any water until I had to get up for work the following day. And yesterday I was still in that I am absolutely exhausted, but I've managed to reset a little bit today, so it meant a little bit easier coming live. And I went live at a more reasonable time as well, so it means that you can all go, and if AD's live now, you can all go and see, or of course watch the football. And I'm going to say it now, as we're obviously as I'm about to leave. Come on, France. For tonight, obviously starts in 16 minutes. Totally, Mbappe is amazing. It's going to be interesting to see them. It's going to be interesting to see that game. Thank you so much for the heartbeat, Sarah. It's going to be, and hi, I'm just winding down as well, unfortunately. But no, it's going to be, I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it, but now I'm thinking about it. Oh no, I totally am. I totally want to see England get smashed. and thank you so much for the confetti, and for if anybody's watching that is putting all the memes out and the AI videos, thank you for the rose. Would yes, it's to see who gets bronze. It's to see who gets bronze. So it's England v France. So it's the fight for third place. So yeah, we'll that's on tonight. It starts at 10, so in 15 minutes time. I'm intrigued to, I'm not bothered either. However, it would be funny to see France win, just so that England get nothing. But for anybody that's putting all the videos out and the memes and stuff, I have been absolutely loving it. I have seen so many videos. I repost them, I share them. If I see a meme or another thing that has been put out, ask Sarah, Mirangels, I very much share them all. It has been absolutely brilliant. And I am so thankful to Argentina for putting them out, honestly, so they didn't go through to the final, because it finally shut them up. And it was also really funny to in the boys football group that I'm part of, when they were going on about the fact that, oh, I don't know why you're taking the piss out of us all because you support Leeds and blah blah, that's an English football team. Well, when it's Scotland v England, when it's Scotland and England, at the end of the day, they are the rivals. They will always be rivals. Asking me to support England would be like asking me to support Hibs if Hearts, who I support, weren't in a cup game, and that's just absolute nonsense. That's just stupidity. And if it was two teams that I didn't like, well, if it was the rivals and a team, if it was Hibs and a team that I didn't like that was in the final, it wouldn't bother me who won, but I'd still watch the game. But I'd obviously take the piss out of the rival team if they got put out, because at the end of the day, that's what rival teams do, right? And it is a game. And when I was getting said that, so I got to say that, you know, as a Scottish person, we knew we weren't going to go far. We knew we were going home. We're no delusional. We've not got a sense of importance and expectation that we're going to win absolutely anything. And you know what? We're no Argentina, and neither are England. And on that note, I am going to bid you all a good night. Thank you, every single one of you, for being here. You've all been, it's not ending. Oh, there we go. You've been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the follows, the taps. You've got me over 50k taps as well. Thank you. Thank you for all the gifts as well. I will see you all on the mean streets of TikTok. You take care of yourself, everybody, and Mon France.